And not only does Raphael come in, but since I've been doing this for over 30 years, I seem to have access to other beings and deities and energies of beautiful love and light. Right now, I'm working with some Egyptian energy for a class that I'm teaching. And so this morning, the vibration of Toth came forward and was communicating with me a lot about the third eye. So we're going to talk about the third eye today, how to keep it open, how to activate it. And then as Raphael comes in, I have a feeling Toth may join Raphael, and we're going to do a pineal gland activation. So what is a pineal gland activation anyway, right? Really, when I bring in Raphael, it's not so much what Raphael's saying, it's just sort of being in the presence of Raphael's energy and vibration. And it has the ability to connect with all of you simultaneously, tap into your energetic field and support you in your awakening process. And so when an activation is done, even though we're online, you're energetically receiving downloads and openings, especially in the third eye, which we'll be working with today, and the different chakra systems. So, any other announcements? Oh, so if you haven't heard me channel before, what I do is I close my eyes and I kind of make these toning sounds. And the toning sounds for me is Raphael coming into my body and me sort of not exiting because I'm still present, but sort of stepping aside in a way so that our energies sort of blend together. And then Raphael, I can feel really embodying me, and my energy shifts a bit. It's a little bit more emanated and excited. And Raphael will come in and say hello, and then you're all going to say hello back. Because we have a large group, we're going to keep everybody muted, because if everybody said back hello back, it takes kind of a while to get that. From a technical standpoint, everybody shut back down. So my son Casey is here, and he will say hello. And then once that happens, Raphael's hooked into the group as a whole. And then my hands kind of move all over the place like this. What that is I am energetically, Raphael is sort of doing a blessing and clearing your fields. So nothing you have to worry about there. Just enjoy it. You're getting an update. And then I also rock back and forth. And I had never asked Raphael, what the heck is that about? And somebody asked just a few weeks ago, Raphael said it was the bowing to the divinity in everyone that we're speaking with. So that's a beautiful way to see that. I think that's everything. All right, so let's just get started then. See if everybody's muted and we're in good shape. All right. So if everybody would like to get centered, and during the activation, it's ideal to kind of close your eyes and be as present as possible. Raphael will probably channel for a good 15 minutes or so with just a general transmission for the group, and then move into the activation. And if you can kind of if it's possible to turn off your phone, so you're not distracted, or if you can not be distracted, it's helpful. All right, here we go. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, how happy are you?
So happy.
So happy. Oh, oh, oh. It is that we are delighted to be here with you from the angelic realm and to have a little fun. For it is that you are in the process of a rebirth. And although you have gone through a time of deep contemplation and quietness, as the last several months have not been that easy, to say the least, on an energetic level, it is that you are opening up space for something new. And as this new rebirth is occurring, the quantum leap, in a sense, in the evolutionary process of your consciousness from our perspective, is getting stronger and brighter, and it is elevating to higher frequencies. And so we are wanting to remind you all that, so you're not in despair that everything in the world is going to what you might call hell in a handbasket, because it is not. It is magnificent and beautiful, and you are accelerating your vibration and moving more and more into unity. And although you had dropped very far into density, into form, into matter, encased in that and in polarity, as you began to expand all the fragmented parts of who you were to explore self, you are in the process, and we have talked about this a lot, of the in-breath, as you are breathing back in to recollect self and to bring self back together into wholeness and unity and love. And this is occurring in each and every one of you on an individual level, as well as on a collective level. And on the individual level, it may not always look rosy like that. It may feel as that every single thing in which you are dealing with is up right now, and it is coming to the surface. You might look at it or perceive it as the shadow that is coming up to be healed and to be seen and to be loved. But we want you to be patient and compassionate with it, and drop into the presence of the knowing that whatever it is you're experiencing in this now moment is actually, although you may not want to hear it, divinely perfect, absolutely what was planned and needing to be at this time for your journey and your process. And then as you release it wanting to be something other than it is, dropping into the presence that it is, and just because the fact that it is perfect, you can let go of all the other things that you are trying for it to be other than what it is, dropping deep into the presence of the breath and the now of where it is that you are, and an awareness that you're so much more vast than your body, so much larger than who it is that you might identify with or think you are, that you are this amazing, magnificent, eternal being of light that has lived and dwelled lifetime after lifetime and star system after star system, and that you are here right now because you are supposed to be here. And you are gathering these fragmented pieces and parts of self, bringing them back together now into the wholeness and the remembering of who you are. And my job and the other beings and the angels from all around the galactic world, our universe, and the ascended masters and beings of light, we are all here to be your cheerleaders, to support you, to love you, to lend a hand, and to remind you of who you are at a deeper level. And so it is that we understand that Kelly chose, as we came to her during the night, and we're tapping a bit here on their third eye, that there was a deepening and awareness and a wanting to open and to activate that. And why would you want to activate the third eye? Well, it's quite obvious, right? It is that in opening and activating the third eye, your capacity for your intuitive knowing and your heart center to be the lead and the guide to see more clearly your path is illuminated. And your ability to see auras around others is illuminated, and to be able to witness the angels and beings of light, such as myself, to have greater clarity and connection and deeper knowing is accentuated. And so you're opening up a sense that has, in a sense, been closed. And it is that all of you have lived in lifetimes with your pineal gland was fully activated and opened. And so there's an intuitive knowing and a remembering that that capacity and the gifts that come with it are prevalent or are there for you if you are wanting to activate them. But sometimes you're not sure how to go about it or how to get it moving again. And it is that as you descended into matter, and we won't get into the whole story about that, but part of the process of the pineal gland in itself closing was there became a great imbalance between the left brain and the right brain, because the pineal gland sits in the center. It is, in a sense, the seat of the soul. It is the third eye. It is the ability of the extra sense beyond the five. And when the left and the right brain, the two hemispheres, became out of balance due to an emotional imbalance in the energetic field of the collective, the pineal gland began to close. And as it began to close, it shrank, and it continued to shrink and shrink until it shriveled. And in some of you, it is like a little shriveled piece of fruit. In others, it has a little flickering happening as you're starting to have more awareness. And in some of you, it's really lit. In others, it's fully blooming like a flower. And the capacity for all of you to have it completely open and blooming with a capability to connect to your guides, to the higher realms, to open your intuition, to see vision in new ways, to interpret and understand your dreams, to see auric fields, to talk to one another telepathically, to have a sense of what things are, to drop into complete and absolute synchronicity and the playfulness and the joy and the bliss of life is something that you can cultivate, something that you can give attention to, and something that you, like any muscle in the body, when you don't pay attention to it and you don't work it, it atrophies. It is the same. But when you start to pay attention to the pineal gland and you give it attention and you work the muscle, you strengthen it. And as you strengthen it, it gets stronger and it begins to open and to activate. Now, there are tools that we want to share with you today about doing so, and want to also remind you that in order for it to fully blossom, for it to fully come into all that it is that you are wanting to bring as much as possible in your emotional being through the limbatic part of the brain and the memory of the brain into balance in the left and the right hemisphere. And it is that in doing that, you may want to take note of whether you're more out of balance in one area or another. And we want to remind you that the definition of the divine masculine and feminine is not dependent at all on what gender or physical body you are in. For you can be in a female body but have a lot of masculine energy, and vice versa. But it is that whatever physical gender you are embodying at this time, or even a neutral gender, you want to have the balance of these vibrations. Now, the masculine energy is logical. It can be dominant. It is powerful. It is in linear thinking. It has a sense of itself. It has loyalty and great honesty. It has organization, and it can get a lot of stuff done. And it is when it is in balance, the divine masculine is rational and beautiful and magnificent and supportive, and it owns its power from a sense of humbleness and a sense of centeredness. And it moves about with an ability to execute, but from not from a place of force, but from a place of internal knowing and power. However, the divine masculine got very out of balance in that with the vibration and energy of power, there are parts of it that became very aggressive and dominant and controlling, and became the persecutor in many ways of the divine feminine energy. And it dominated it, became in control of it, suppressed it, and the ego really expanded. Now, the divine feminine is completely not innocent in this process, for it in itself gave away a lot of its power, became the victim, became the martyr. And so when the divine feminine is out of balance, it is in victimhood and martyrhood. And when the divine masculine is out of balance, it is in aggressive rage, cruelty, and it can be dominant and controlling. The out of balance feminine energy can also be manipulative. It can be passive as well. It can be over nurturing and over pleasing, creating a sense of unworthiness and entanglement and enabling. And so all of these different out of balance energies are probably ones that at one time or another you may have embodied, but you might start to notice that one, you might be the over pleaser, or you might be a bit controlling, or you might have to have everything organized perfectly all the time. Or perhaps it is that you have no boundaries. So there are different ways in which you can recognize that there may be an area that is out of balance, either in the masculine or in the feminine energy, that is needing your attention. So we want you to just take note of that, because when the divine feminine is in balance, it's intuitive, it's loving, it's nurturing, it's compassionate, but it also feels worthy and powerful, and it has boundaries and a deep sense of self, and it brings awareness to birth. It is the rebirthing, the renewal, and the beginning of something new. And as you are moving into what you call the Aquarian age, you are birthing a new collective vibration, a new consciousness around the planet. And so the divine feminine energy coming into its own and really expanding itself into all physical beings, whether masculine or feminine, meeting the intuitive self, the part that is connected to the arts, the part that is connected to the higher realms, is essential now for the healing not only of you as a collective consciousness, but of your beautiful mother, who also embodies both the masculine and the feminine energy. And we're talking about Mother Earth, and although Mother Earth would appear to be all feminine, she is very powerful and very organized as well. And so she embodies both. But as much as you are out of balance, she is out of balance, because you are in synchronicity with another, as within, so without. And her state of her environment and her health is a reflection of the state of the consciousness of the collected human as well, and vice versa. You're feeding off of one another. And so to support healing of the planet and all of the forest and the oceans and the air and the water and the animals and the minerals and the plants, and in the support of your own self, it is bringing these two vibrations into balance is imperative. And so we are encouraging you from the angelic realm to just take note, take a little survey, and perhaps see if you are more masculine or more feminine, if you have more qualities in one quadrant or the other, and if some of those energies perhaps are a little bit out of balance. And sometimes the shadow side of being out of balance, especially in the feminine, can disguise itself as something that looks good, but underneath it's actually very ill, meaning that often the feminine energy can play the over-pleasing, taking care of anyone, but then they can get into the vibration and the role of the martyr. I do all of this for you, and what about me? Or in the vibration of the victim, where they're not fully taking responsibility for the creation of their reality and what it is that they are experiencing. And that energy is just as destructive as the energy that is more obviously destructive, such as war and conflict and the ego out of control and domination and power and judgment and criticism and thinking that you are superior to another, which is the divine masculine out of balance. So often there's a lot of blame that the divine masculine is the energy that has created such difficult havoc upon the planet in its imbalance, and there is truth to that. But it is that they are the yin and the yang, the black and the white, the cold and the hot. They go together and synergetically match, for you cannot have something that prosecutes someone who is on some vibrational level unwilling to be a victim. So the vibration of martyrhood and victim means taking deep and absolute responsibility for your experience on every level, no matter what's happening, without blaming another. And when that comes into a place of real healing, the divine feminine is whole. And in the divine masculine, taking a look at, am I controlling, judging, comparing, and thinking I am greater than another? And when that starts to come into balance, where you're owning your power, but from a place of centeredness, loyalty, honesty, integrity, where that is the divine masculine is strong and protective, you can count on them, but they're not pushing or aggressive. When those energies come into balance, the pineal gland sits then in the center of two lit up, perfectly whole parts of the left and the right hemisphere, and it begins to light up again. So it is that in many of the ancient civilizations and cultures, predated beyond even your historical understanding, when the masculine over-dominated or took over the matriarchal society of the goddess, it is that that imbalance started to close the pineal gland. And as it shut down over time, it atrophied. And when it atrophied, it became asleep. And that's why many will say, well, I'm waking up. This is the great awakening. I'm awake now, meaning your pineal gland is waking up to your divinity because you were asleep to the remembering of who you were. And so we're here from the angelic realm to support you in waking up. There's a noise. What is it? And so you're doing that right now. And we're here to be supporting you in that process. Now, it is that, oh, there is a noise. One moment, please. It is that we are back. And so we're wanting to help you with that, activating and stimulating the light in the pineal gland. Now, as Kelly was laying in bed, we came, and my good friend Toth came. And Toth is, for those of you who are not familiar with him, an Egyptian god, and he is extraordinarily powerful, and yet he embodies the divine masculine. And it is that he holds the records, which many of you are familiar with, the Akashic records, as he is the scribe of them, recording all thoughts, all words, all deeds, all actions, and all sounds that have ever been and ever shall be recorded. And in that, there is a process in which things can be shifted and changed. And he is here today because he wants to activate within all of you and teach you about opening your pineal gland. And so we're not sure if Kelly will be able to fully embody or to channel him, but we will transcribe for the transcriber, whatever it is he is wanting. So let's give us a moment, please. Welcome, Toth. It is that Toth is wanting to describe himself as a very beautiful being that has the head of a bird or an ibis, like a point, very pointy at the nose. He is holding the symbol of the Ankh, which is the eternal life. He lived during a time where the pineal gland was open as he carried the pineal gland upon his staff. And it was a representation of the pine cone, which was passed down through many dogmas and religions, even in Christianity, as you see the cone upon the staff, and outside many religious institutions, for there was a knowing and an awareness that this was the link to the higher realms, to higher awareness, to God itself, to the remembering and the knowing that you are divine. And it is a great humbleness and also sadness that he sees that it is so tiny now in the collective consciousness, but that as you are rising now into a new awareness, you are dusting it off and lighting it back up. But many of you have forgotten some of the mystery school teachings and the old ways that you can utilize to support you in doing that. And one of those aspects is the vibration of pattern. Many of you might call it sacred geometry or tone and sound and color that reside in the higher dimensions. And it is that both certain sounds and tones, when listening to a particular frequency, can stimulate the pineal gland, as well as colors that can be coming in from the rainbow light and hitting the spectrum there, opening and activating it as well. But we today are going to focus more on geometry and the pattern and utilizing patterns and symbols to activate the pineal gland so that it may start to open. It is that Toth wants to remind you of Isis, who is a magnificent goddess that many of you are familiar with, and Isis's son, Horus. And many of you might know of the symbol of Horus's eye and the fact that the eye was removed by the great Seth, but then returned as Hathor and Toth were able to replenish it. And this symbol is extraordinarily significant because it symbolizes all of the five senses that you have awareness of right now. Right, that you may see and hear and taste and smell and so on, feel. And so those senses are active and you have awareness to them, and this is how you perceive your experience right now. However, you're experiencing it from his perspective in what you might call the halls of Amente and the illusion of the mirrors of reality, in which you're perceiving to be something actually other than it is, and that there is way more to the perception in which you can see now with the retina of the eye that you think of as your real eyes. And so the third eye is the sixth sense. That's where that saying came from, right? The sixth sense, it's you have five senses and you add one more, which is the third eye, is the sixth sense, allowing you to sense beyond the ordinary. And in order to activate the sixth sense, utilizing the symbolism of the Horus imagery, it is that Toth today would like to place the Horus eye and the light codes of that symbol upon your third eye. And in doing that, it will start to stimulate and activate that sixth sense. The other symbolic imagery that is very, very helpful in opening the third eye is the octahedron, which is a diamond shape that is over your head, and it is at your crown, it is at your throat, it is at both ears, it is at your ultra and casual chakra, and it spins. And you're not really consciously aware of that. But as you start to have more awareness of it, you run a particular symbol in and around it, and this symbol is the infinity sign. And the infinity sign is an old and ancient symbol that is very powerful, for it represents in the center of the point of the infinity sign, the 0 point, the null point, the space of nothingness and everything, of the infinite place of creation, where you can open up the pineal gland within the center of the infinity sign and expand it. Now, as you look at the infinity sign, you'll recall that on either side are these loops, and each loop is representing the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so when you use the visualization of your current brain to imagine an infinity sign running from ear to ear, so the loop is going like this, and in the center, the 0 point is hitting the infinity sign, right? It is hitting the pineal gland. You are opening the pineal gland and you are balancing the divine and the feminine energy. And then if you take that same infinity sign and you run it from the very front of the head at the third eye, and the loop goes until it hits the pineal gland in the center at the 0 point and loops around the back where it hits the back of the neck, which is the mouth of God. And you run these symbols going in using your imagination in visualization, you will stimulate the rebalancing energetically and vibrationally of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and you will start to open up in the 0 point and activate the pineal gland, allowing the third eye to open like a projector to allow your vision, your clarity, your connection to your guides in the higher realms to be accentuated, to open and to be. And so we're going to do that right now. So I want you all to take a nice deep breath. It is that Toth is present, and I will dictate his words. He's wanting you right now to take your finger, this finger, we are not sure what one that is, so you've got your thumb and then another finger and the next one, whatever you call that. And you're going to take your finger and you're going to place it here on your third eye. And as you are placing your finger on your third eye, I want you to imagine that Toth is here. He's an Egyptian god with a beautiful head like a bird, and his beak is pecking right now on your third eye. And as he is tapping, he is opening the space from the skin on your forehead to the pineal gland, creating a pinhole. And this pinhole now is creating a very, very thin tunnel of golden light, like a golden thread. And this golden thread now is coming into your third eye, and it is pushing through your skull and through your brain, in between perfectly the right and left hemisphere. And it is hitting now the seat of the pineal gland. And as it hits it, it begins to wrap itself around, creating an orb, a beautiful, beautiful golden orb of golden light, as Toth is imprinting it now with all of the might of the sun. The light of the sun activates the beautiful activated pineal gland with the vibration of Ra. And as it comes in now, it is opening and opening. Keep your hand there, keep tapping and tapping. Imagining now that his beak is drilling this thin pinhole of light that is moving through your third eye into the pineal gland, and it is wrapping around, expanding the light in the center. And as it does this, the energy is now coming out from behind back to the mouth of God, or the ultra major chakra. And it is looping around as the infinity sign now with the golden thread is creating a loop. I want you to imagine that a golden light, very thinly threaded energy, has threaded from the beginning here of the third eye into the center of the pineal gland, where the 0 point creates an orb of golden light expanding and lighting up the pineal gland. And then the thread moves to the back of the neck and comes up around again to the center as it loops up around to the front. And as that's happening, we're wanting you to just keep tapping as much as you can, knowing that you do not need to do anything. The Toth team and energetic beings of light are threading this golden energy for you, now activating your pineal gland and third eye, stimulating and opening it. Just be patient as this is continuing to happen. Keep tapping and tapping as they are doing this magnificent and powerful work. And as they are doing that, they're going to go in now and they're going to bring your hands now to both ears and put your hands on either side. Imagine now that the light of the golden thread is creating an infinity symbol between both ears, rebalancing the divine masculine, the divine feminine, stimulating and opening the 0 point within the pineal gland as it activates, opening and activating your ability to hear telepathically, to be able to listen with your whole being, that you begin to listen in a way you've never listened before, as you listen with deep compassion and awareness, stimulating the hearing vibration, moving out. As this is happening now, these symbols are running and getting activated, and they will continue to run as their beautiful golden light is filling the octahedron around your head. And now Isis is coming in. And as she arrives, she is wearing the Ankh symbol for eternal life, reminding you that you are an eternal being of love. And as she does this, she holds in her hand the symbol of the Eye of Horus. And as she lifts the symbol of the Eye of Horus, she brings it now to your third eye. And as you take your palm now and place it upon your forehead, know that she is imprinting that symbol energetically like a light code activated on the front of your forehead. And as it is activated, begin now to tap again. Continue tapping. Continue tapping. Oh, they are very delighted to have been able to give you this gift, as both Toth and Isis bow in deep gratitude as they have imprinted upon you the magnificent Horus symbol of the third eye, light coding and activating it to the remembering of who you are, stimulating the infinity sign from the beginning of the third eye through the pineal gland to the mouth of God, behind the neck and to either ear, allowing you now to hear in a new way, to see in a new way, and to remain clairvoyant and open so that you may tune into the higher realms of the starseed light, so that they may support you in elevating the vibration of who you are, which in turn supports the collective consciousness rising into the higher frequencies of unity and love. They ask one favor of you, and that is for you to continue to practice this practice by tapping there upon the third eye regularly and imagining and seeing the golden thread of the infinity symbols running in both directions, opening and activating as you see the pine cone inside the left and right hemisphere, expanding, opening, and awakening further and further, blooming like a magnificent, gorgeous lotus flower. And as it does that, they ask you also to take note and inventory of any areas in the divine masculine or feminine vibration in which you can bring more balance, compassion, and love and support to, bringing it back into equilibrium so that the collective can realign itself with this extra sense, the sixth sense, so that in the future, not far from now, when others talk about the senses you have, they will not say that you have 5, but they will say instantaneously without hesitation that there are 6, because you will have a fully active and open pineal gland. This is going to stimulate your dream state, your ability to interpret them, and the imagery that will come, supporting you in communicating in a deeper level, astral traveling, connecting to others in higher realms, and receiving downloads of codes of information to elevate your vibration and your consciousness back to its original state of divinity and love. With that, we send to you all of our love and light from the angelic realm. With great honor and gratitude, we thank both Toth and Isis for this blessing, reminding you that you have been now activated as your pineal gland is at the beginning stage of fully opening, and that as you take the responsibility to continue to activate it, practicing these practices, you will accentuate it until it is fully open. Spending time in the morning as the sun rises, allowing the sun to hit the third eye, will accelerate to the opening of the pineal gland, and removing fluoride will support to the decalcification of it as well. Knowing that as the pinhole by Toth was created through his beak, moving like a thread of golden thread through the tunnel of your forehead to the pineal gland itself, that he also created an opening out the back of your neck that allows any energies that was keeping the pineal gland closed to begin to come out. It's like opening a pipe so that it can drain out any energies that are no longer serving you. So you are receiving continuously now this gorgeous golden light as it moves through the pinhole here of the tunnel to the pineal gland, opening up a drainage for anything that was calcified that is being broken up now so that it may be released and coming out energetically behind. And so with that, that is our gift to you today. Many blessings, much love, and good day. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I greatly appreciate it. That was a beautiful activation. I'm delighted to connect with both Toth and Isis as we're working with the Egyptian energy right now in the Starseed class. For those of you that are new, I do these calls every Sunday, and it's always a different topic. They're free, and they're at 2 o'clock, and they are my gift to you. You can at any time donate if you want, if an energy exchange for the calls, it's appreciated, but you don't have to. And also the Awaken the High Priestess class, which is also working with awakening the divine feminine. I'm going to teach that in June over 2 weekends. If you're interested in that, you can take a look at that. I'll send out info. All right, everybody. I love you. Have a beautiful Sunday. Sending everyone much love. I guess we can unmute and all say hello for a minute. Casey, you want to do that, honey?
Yep. Hold on.
All right.
Okay, people can unmute themselves.
All right, you're allowed to unmute.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. That was wonderful.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
So appreciate it. Thank
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
Beautiful new one from
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Penny,
Thank
Angel.
you.
You,
Casey.
Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mustache.
Guys.
Thank
Thank
you. Much
you.
gratitude.
Thank
Huge
you.
gratitude.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Raphael.
everybody.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, family.
Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
everybody.
needed that so bad.
Party
Love
loud.
Bye,
that.
everybody. See you next week. I'll see you next
Kelly.
week.
Night.
Thank you.
Two.
Love
See you
you.
soon.
Bye-bye.